Hi there, everybody. My name is Buddy Gott. Welcome to Buddy's Writing Show. On tonight's show, I'm very happy to have with me author David Wright. Welcome to the show, Dave.
Thank you for having me back.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Yeah, you're one of the few return guests I've had to the show so far, so I thank you for coming back. We had a lot of fun last time.
Well, that's
And,
because you murder all of your guests.
well, I didn't really want that to get out there. Now it's going to be
We're
hard.
on the air. Oh, shit. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. And plus, I've just slightly maimed some of them, and it's not all about murder.
Okay.
Yeah, but you're here because you have a brand new book that just came out that's called Crash, which is great. A little while ago, Dave, I don't know if you saw it, I posted one of my Walking Buddy videos that I do, which we can get into more later because you kind of inspired me doing that. But I shot that yesterday around 7 p.m. and I talk in there about how Crash just came out and how I just got it that day, and now even though I just posted this video, it's kind of like way back in time because since then I started reading the book last night and I finished it up this afternoon. I couldn't put it down.
Wow.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I stayed up much later last night than I should have reading it, but hey, I was off today, so it all worked out.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, but I really liked it a lot. Now, that is a book that you've done with Sean Platt, correct?
Yes.
For Collective Inkwell. And would you like to tell the viewers a little bit about the story there? Oh, wait, let me say this. For anyone who's watching live, okay, no spoilers here. Please, no spoilers in the comments. And if you're not watching live, watching it later, please don't spoil anything for anyone else. My fiance, actually, Lisa, she asked me to say this. She said, for those who've already read Crash, please put your fingers to your lips and be quiet. That's a direct quote from my fiance. So, Dave, I'm sorry. Please go ahead. Tell us a little bit about it. We don't want to, believe me, you don't want to piss Lisa off.
Crash is something I've been writing since 1987, 1988. I think 88.
Wow.
Yeah, it was one of those that I started when I had the midnight shift at the gas station, and I'd write all night. And this is one of the first stories that really took seed in my head, and I knew I wanted to write it for a long time, and it's evolved over the years. I talk about it in the author's note. I can't say how it evolved without kind of giving some stuff away, but basically it centers around a writer named Thomas Witt, who he and his wife are co-writers of horror series, and they've just found quite a bit of fame, and the story picks up about a year after an accident that they were in where his daughter died, and he died and was revived, basically. And what happened is he had traumatic brain injury, so the story picks up after this, and he's already recovered physically and mostly mentally, but he can't remember the last 6 months of his life prior to the accident. So he doesn't remember his final moments with his daughter. He doesn't remember a lot of the stuff that he'd written or had planned to write because he didn't have it all written out. So it's affecting him on personal level and a work level. And the story starts off with him basically obsessed with car accidents. He just drives around, and whenever he sees accidents, he pulls over and starts taking pictures of them. And he's doing this to try to jog his memory, because he just feels the more he's become so obsessed, he just knows that he's just this close to remembering everything, but he can't quite get there. So the story opens, the very first chapter is him focusing on a car crash scene, and he takes the pictures home and he's going through them on a computer, and while he's going through them on the computer, he starts to notice that there is a man in black in the background of the photos, and he's in a lot of the photos, and he doesn't remember seeing this guy at the scene, and he's just wondering who the hell is this guy, because he's not EMT, he's not police, he's nobody that should really be there, he thinks. So then he starts going back through other photos and he sees this guy is at a lot of car accident scenes, and in the very last photo he sees the guy's staring right at him, and that's how the story begins.
Right, and it was a hell of a beginning. Like I said, I started that late last night, and what's great is it is in first person, so you're right in Thomas's head the whole time, and just so compelling. And then when that did end, with him seeing those pictures, I'm like, I'm not going to sleep. There's no way I'm going to sleep. I got to see what's going to be happening here. And you mentioned how the story evolved for you, the writing of it in the author's note. And for those people out there who like to skip to the last chapter of something or look at author's notes, first of all, I can't understand that. I mean, God bless you, or Buddha bless you, or whoever you believe in bless you if you do that kind of thing. But as a reader, I just can't understand people who skip to the end first to see whether or not I'm going to like this. But don't skip to the end of this book and don't read the author's note. Dave even puts a spoil. He says at the beginning of the author's note, if you don't want to, know, right? But
No,
it
I'm
is.
actually guilty of that. I used to read Stephen King's author notes, and I would just kind of peek just to see if I thought he was going to give it away, because I like to read about the story as much as I like to read the story, and maybe that's just because I'm a writer. I don't know if a lot of writers do this or not. I imagine a lot do. So yeah, I'm guilty of that. But if I know this ending is going to be spoiled, like if there's a big warning that says turn around, then no, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to turn around and go back.
Yeah, and all right. As much as I was just bitching about people who do that, I've done that from time to time. And what I know that I am. We've talked before. My favorite author is Lawrence Block, and I don't know if you knew. A couple of years ago, he put out an ebook. I think it's either Afterthoughts or Afterwords. And when his books were reissued, primarily in print, but then when everything was re-released on Kindle, he would go and put author's notes in all of them. So he compiled actually all of his author notes into a book, like I said, called Afterthoughts or Afterwards. It's really great, but I did the same thing. I want to hear all about how the story was written, and he goes into great details about that. But still, when it got to the spoiler parts, it's like,
Didn't he write Liar's Bible?
Yeah, there's the Liar's Bible, and
it's like all his Writer's Digest columns and stuff. Yeah. I like that a lot. I've read a lot of that.
Yeah, there's a couple because there's Liar's Bible, and then there's another one too that's got a great title. It's Telling Lies for Fun and Profit. That's one of his other ones that was from. I think there's 4 or 5 books that he compiled from his Writer's Digest columns.
Yeah, that's an example of me liking to read what writers are writing about writing. I really enjoy getting behind the scenes. I think I've only read one thing by him. I know he's a favorite of yours, and I liked what I read. I don't even remember what it was. But I actually, I like reading about the writing more than I enjoy the writing sometimes.
Yeah, me too. I've done that with even writers that I was never too crazy about, but just to hear their process, it's really kind of fascinating. And in your author notes for Crash, that was really interesting. I knew some of it because we had talked, before about it, but it was interesting to see how it evolved over the years. Very cool.
Thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So now that book too, I want to say it's very unique for you and Sean in the fact that it is a standalone novel. Isn't that the first really standalone? I know you guys have had some short stories, of course, but it's really the first standalone book you have out.
Yes. We both started writing last summer. We started writing 2 standalone stories. He was doing one called Threshold, which is, there's a sample of that in the back of Crash, and I started writing Crash, and they're both ghost stories of a sort. And we both figured, we'll knock them out in a month, maybe 2 at most. And then it did not happen. I got sidelined, and then he didn't like the first draft of Threshold, and I had suggested all these different changes to that, and then we kind of went back and forth on that. And then I was writing Crash, and I got stuck about the halfway point when I was not confident of the ending that I decided for it. I was kind of scared to write the ending that I wrote. I thought it would turn a lot of people off.
Right.
I wrestled with that for a long time before I could actually come back and finish it. And I was trying to think of ways to lighten it up just a little, because it's the whole book is dark. So.
Great. And yeah, so that you said in there, it did take you a lot longer than a lot of the things that you've done in the past. So it is great, and the ending's great. We had a lot of comments that just suddenly popped up, Dave. I just want to mention some of them. We got some of our viewers. David Anson checked in. Patrick Stemp, MG on, MG on, MMG on. I love that name. Eric Minden, he congrats on the success of Crash. LM Stoll, my previously mentioned fiance. She says, "Hi everyone, I bought Crash and can't wait to start it tomorrow." So I want to thank everyone who's watching live and who watches us later on. We appreciate it. And MG did chime in that he was first in the comments. That's always very important during these shows from our
Where the hell is Carl? Carl should be first. I'm disappointed.
He's locked up in a cell somewhere in Australia.
Yeah, he's in my basement, actually.
He's still recovering from the whole Calvin and Hobbes thing.
Yeah, being wrong, yeah.
Now, I want to mention, too, well, first of all, people go check out Crash. And it's a special sale right now on that, Dave, isn't it, for the first week?
Yes, 99 cents, then it'll go up to $3.99. It might be a little bit longer than a week because we had some promos scheduled, and one of them was actually delayed for a bunch of different reasons. So for a week or so, it'll be 99 cents.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, and hell, that's a great bargain. One of my buddies from high school, he saw me post about it, and he snagged it up. And he hardly ever reads fiction at all, and he got hooked immediately with it. So yeah, very cool. Wanted to talk to you about you're known for being on one or two shows online. I did want to bring those up.
The shows that shall not be named.
Well, you know what? All right, if you don't want me to name them, I won't name them. We got the self-publishing podcast. I'm going to name them anyway. It's my show, Dave. I'm going to.
All right.
Yeah, self-publishing podcast, which you've been doing. Oh, what's it? You guys just went over 100 episodes, right? Aren't you like around 110, 112, something like that?
It's around 2 years, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. It still continues to be a great show. It's people can watch it every Friday live. Is it 2 p.m. still, Dave? Because I know you guys have jumped around a little bit.
2 p.m. Eastern, yes.
Yeah, I gotta somehow swing to get off of work every Friday. I gotta talk to my boss about it because I love watching the show.
Life.
Why not? Why not?
There's no rush to see it live.
It is fun though because it's fun to watch the shows live because there are so many regular live viewers, and that can be fun. And you've also got Better Off Undead.
Yes.
Which is great, and you've been getting some guests on there lately. I know you had writer Darren Wearmouth and Carl Sinclair, the previously mentioned and well-loved Carl Sinclair.
They bring class to the show, a much-needed dose of class.
Well, I still haven't seen you had an episode called Carl and Darren Get Shit-Faced. They started off shit-faced. They didn't get, so it's kind of a misleading title. Oh,
They really weren't that bad. They were worse on prior shows.
Now, do you still do self-publishing roundtable?
No, I stopped doing that. I don't know, about a month ago. My summer schedule with my son, it used to be that he went to bed on a school night at 8 o'clock. Well, now during the summer he goes to bed at 9 o'clock, and that's when the show's first starting. And if you know anything about 7-year-olds, they don't go right to bed. So
yeah, I've heard this.
It just wasn't working, and plus, It is a time commitment. If I want to do it right, and I feel I should do it right, I need to research the guests and stuff and have meaningful things to say. And it was just becoming too much because I got the other two shows and I got my writing, and I'm still not doing the podcast that I had planned to do, where I was going to be interviewing people, kind of like what you're doing. So I mean, you've put out like 1 million since I announced that I was going to do something. So you're leaving me behind on the walking podcast too. So.
Well, yeah, that's what I alluded to earlier, and that is the walking podcast that I guess you started up in was it sometime, I guess, March or April, sometime in the.
I don't remember.
Yeah, something like that. But it was great for people who aren't familiar with that. Dave started doing a podcast, an audio-only podcast that you can find on davidwright.com. Correct?
Yes.
Yes. Let me make sure I got that middle initial correct. And oh man, my cat just came in. She's probably gonna jump on
my cat's meowing at my door. He must sense your cat.
My cat's badass. She totally burst through the door. Anyway, you keep it down over there. Yeah, you did this, and then there was another guy, the Walking Rob, was inspired by you, and he did it. Then I had to jump on the bandwagon and do it, and my fiance Lisa did it, and all these shows sprung up, which is awesome. But I know you haven't done one recently, but I encourage people to go to your website and check it out because you had talked about how you enjoy hearing how writers do their thing, and in some of your shows, you do talk about your writing. You talk about other things also, which I think is interesting. It's cool to learn more about the person and as a person. So people should check that out on davidwright.com.
And I was inspired by the author that we had on Self-Publishing Roundtable. That was he's been doing it for a while. So
Oh, right, right, right. I know who you mean. I'm drawing a blank on his name right
I'm
now, but
drawing a blank too. I feel like a
yeah.
jerk.
Well, well, yeah.
I did mention him in my first episode though, so you can go there and find him. So
Right, right. Yeah, he's a fine, fine writer and a fine, fine, fine podcaster.
yes.
Good guy. And I forgot to mention some of your other books that you have out there. It's the series for people who aren't familiar with your work. You've got Yesterday's Gone, of course, White Space, the
Yeah.
Z2134 series. Now, is that complete now, Dave, or is that
That is
still? It was that a
done.
trilogy? Okay, that's what I
That is,
thought.
yep.
Yeah, and well, Monstrous, Available Darkness, Forever No, for Nevermore, as well as some other things. So you got a lot going on, and you mentioned Threshold will be the next release from Collective Inkwell.
Yes, that'll be, I believe, September 3rd, I think.
Oh,
We,
okay.
we wanted to do a couple of standalone books because a lot of readers found us, because we were doing serials in 2011. But there's a lot of people that, they don't want to start a series until it's done. A surprising number of people that are like that. So I'll get emails every now and then from people that say, when is Yesterday's Gone going to be done, or when is one of these other books going to be done? Because I don't want to start it until then. Like, I don't know why they don't. I guess they don't want to wait. So we
Right.
wanted to put out a few standalone things. We've got the Dark Crossing short stories. We got a whole collection of those for people that like that. But we wanted to do a few standalone novels, and it's a nice way to break up the serials. Although I imagine it might piss off the people that are like waiting for the next episode, serial season in the serial to continue.
Yeah, but I think if they're fans of your work, if they are pissed off, it's just going to be like a real little bit because
Yeah,
they're
we're
going
not like George R. R. Martin making people wait forever.
to. Yeah, you guys have put out a pretty damn considerable amount in just a few years.
Yeah.
I mean, I was looking at the Amazon page just to make sure I didn't miss anything, and I'm like, okay, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5. There's a lot of great stuff, and if you're new to Dave, please check out his works, and definitely, definitely, definitely check out Crash. And you have no reason not to right now. It's 99 cents, and it's a great book, and I just left a review for it on Amazon.com a little while ago. 5 stars, babies, 5 stars. It's a
Cool.
great book. Yeah, and Dave, I thank you so much for coming on the show again and talking about your book
Mhm.
with us.
Thanks.
My
Thank you for
pleasure.
having
My
me.
pleasure. And so let me ask you this, since we talked about the serials. Now, we said the Threshold is going to come out in September. Do you know what's going to be after that, or
Yeah,
what you're working on?
right now we're writing Yesterday's Gone season 5, which everybody, everybody in our audience is really waiting for.
Yeah.
And we said it was going to be out this summer, but it's probably, October 15th is the date we're aiming for, which is the date that everybody vanished in the very first season. So it's kind of a
Oh, that's a cool tie-in then. That's great.
Yeah, and we've got something so damned awesome for this season planned that I want to talk about it, but I can't. It's just it's pretty fucking incredible.
Well,
I
you
can't wait.
seem excited about it, so if you want to talk about it here and share it with everyone.
You want to give away the ending?
Just what I complained about that earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, is that one scheduled? Now, I think I might be wrong on this, but is that planned for 6 seasons, Dave, or is that kind of okay? That's what I thought.
6 seasons, and it's funny because originally we conceived of it as I conceived of it as a trilogy, and Sean had always thought a few more, or at least 4 seasons. So around season 2, when we were like planning far out, like where it will eventually go, like there's no way we're going to get it done in 3 seasons. So I said, okay, well, what I want to do is I want to make it so the 3rd season wraps up the very initial questions that we began with. So nobody's kept waiting forever, like with Lost or something like that, where
Right.
some people lost patience. Although I didn't. I love waiting.
Oh, I
But
did too. Yeah.
we wanted to answer like all the questions, and then challenge ourselves to the people that thought, they're just now it's going 6 seasons. No, they're going to stretch it out. No, we wanted to challenge ourselves because we had an idea where it should go, after the very initial thing happens, and we wanted to challenge ourselves to do something so friggin' awesome that it would just anyone that had any doubts about it whatsoever or thought that there's no way you could stretch it to 6 seasons, by the time it's over, they'll be like, "Holy shit, this should be more seasons." But no, we're not doing more. But we want to make it so damned awesome. And we had the seeds early on what we wanted to do, but now that we're actually writing season 5 right now, it is even beyond the initial thoughts that we had. It's
Oh,
pretty
that's
fucking
awesome.
cool.
Yeah, that's got to be exciting for you guys then, and I know it'll be exciting for the readers. So fantastic. All right, Dave, thank you again. Everyone who's tuned in and
Thank
watched live and who's going to be watching it later, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it. And definitely check out Crash and check out all the other works by David Wright. Again,
thank you.
thank you, everyone else. Yeah, Dave, take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.